Autumn brings the cranberry harvest to Wisconsin, just as the potato harvest is wrapping up for the year. Wisconsin produces more than half of the nation's cranberries. What you may find surprising is that Wisconsin ranks fourth in harvested acres of potatoes, behind Idaho, Washington, and North Dakota. Wisconsin also is home to the 2011 winner of the National Potato Council Environmental Stewardship Award. The award goes to a fifth-generation family farm in central Wisconsin, Heartland Farms. Richard Pavelski remembers toting potatoes in 20-pound bags that he trucked to Milwaukee from the farm started in 1873 by his great-great-grandfather.
Started growing potatoes actually and had a potato warehouse that shipped rail cars of potatoes to Chicago at about 1908, 1909 as far as we can tell. So I've been growing small acres of potatoes on what was at that time a dairy farm.
The dairy herd was sold after Richard graduated from high school in the late 60s, and the farm expanded in potatoes. In the last 20 years, expansion accelerated, and Heartland Farms now specializes in growing potatoes for the potato chip industry and long-term storage of potatoes.
Today Heartland Farms farms about 14,000 acres, about 8,000 of those are in potatoes. We also, lease land, so we're on a 3-year rotation. I guess we own about 9,000 acres now, and then we lease ground for potatoes to get us into a 3-year rotation.
The motto at Heartland Farms is farming for the future. It's a commitment to food and agriculture and sustainable land and water resources.
Farming for the future entails a couple different things. One, we have a very long tradition of the Pavelski family in agriculture. It's kind of farming for the future generations of us, as well as providing food for America and the world. It has been a long tradition of sustainability, and farming for the future entails a lot of that, because if we don't take care of the natural resources that we're entrusted with right now, there's no way that we can provide the future for ourselves and provide the food source for America if we don't take care of those resources.
According to the University of Wisconsin Extension Service, central Wisconsin has ideal conditions for vegetable production, starting with its flat surface and soils.
We have primarily loamy sand soils, production of root crops that helps with things like carrots and potatoes in particular, allows for easier harvest and a clean harvest. We don't have a lot of soil contamination when we pull potatoes out of the field. And therefore, when we put them into storage, there's not a lot of soil contamination. It allows for good air movement in the storage systems.
Irrigation is essential to the potato crop, even though Wisconsin averages plentiful rainfall.
When we get that precipitation is one of the critical points, and potatoes are extremely sensitive to water stress. There has been research done where if you don't manage the potatoes correctly and they get into a stressed situation, you can reduce yields by 25 to 50%.
High-quality groundwater is another reason this farmland is ideally suited for vegetable production.
Most of the irrigation that is done in central Wisconsin is derived from groundwater. The groundwater lies within several meters of the soil surface, so it's easy to access, doesn't require a lot of pumping cost.
Heartland Farms uses low-horsepower, low-pressure irrigation systems with drop nozzles to reduce power usage and get water closer to the plants. It also uses soil moisture probes and works with the University of Wisconsin and other research groups to fine-tune irrigation scheduling. The farm participates on a groundwater task force to analyze the future of this important resource.
We're taking the well depths of so far we have about 250 irrigation wells in the central Wisconsin area, and what we're trying to find out is how does water fluctuate on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis. So besides the manual testing that the growers are doing, we're starting to evaluate some new technology that monitors these wells on a continuous basis.
Water used in washing and grading potatoes is recirculated as a conservation measure. At Heartland Farms, the quality of potatoes goes hand in hand with the quality of the environment. The farm uses Integrated Pest Management, or IPM. It monitors its fields for the presence of pests and establishes thresholds for treatment. Then it dials in on problem areas and avoids needless spraying elsewhere.
When we go out and target a pest, if it is the Colorado potato beetle, we do a lot of edge treatments instead of whole field treatments, so you're not out there spraying a certain pesticide or anything on a whole field when only 5 acres on the edge of the field might need it.
Heartland Farms also uses various strategies to combat the possibility of pesticide resistance.
Resistance management is another big key to sustainability. Making sure that you're rotating the right chemicals around so you're not building resistance. And that also plays into the fact of crop rotation. Field selections. If you had Colorado potato beetles on one area, the next year you try not to plant a potato field adjacent to it because you have a likelihood of increasing that population.
90% of the farm's full-time employees receive pesticide applicator training. Basically, that's everyone who is ever in a farm field. Those who apply soil fumigants receive supplemental training. Soil fumigants are applied to control soil-borne diseases and suppress nematodes that feed on the roots of plants. But Heartland Farms is reducing the amount it uses.
One of our techniques that we use to lower the amount of fumigation that we do is we actually use band application. So we have a machine that goes and takes the fumigant and applies it right to the exact same row that we're going to plant in next year. So instead of applying this over the whole field, you're actually only applying it right where you need it for the potatoes. So your efficacy actually goes up for your pest control, and you have the hill that you can plant in next year.
Recently, the farm took on a project to reclaim for agricultural use land ravaged by a major forest fire. The timber company that owned the pine forest no longer wanted it.
Historically, when land like this was cleared in central Wisconsin, they would take a bulldozer, push the small trees and stumps into a pile and burn it on site. We've elected not to do any burning here whatsoever. You'll see that all of the stumps and the vegetative material were recovered. They were chipped, and they're actually a fuel source for a power plant. So we salvaged everything going into, that we could.
Habitat restoration for deer and wild turkey is part of the plan, and lupin is being planted in corners for the endangered Karner blue butterfly. Waterfowl and sandhill cranes frequently visit the area.
From a quality standpoint, it's real critical that your internal part of the potato is defect-free.
Workers are in the field every day ensuring the quality of potatoes that come off the farm. Heartland also has advanced storage facilities with state-of-the-art cooling systems and building design that allow it to ship potatoes almost year-round. At Heartland Farms, environmental stewardship means never sacrificing long-term productivity for short-term gain. Their approach to farming is best described by the word sustainability.
Sustainability is basically a three-legged stool. We need to, conserve and protect the resources that we use to grow the crop. We need to make sure that we are a valuable part of the community so that we get community support and that our employees are taken care of from a personnel standpoint. And we also need to make some money, and financial stability is a key part of sustainability.
The Environmental Stewardship Award is a component of the Pesticide Environmental Stewardship Program of the National Potato Council and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Sponsorship by DuPont Crop Protection helps make this award and presentation possible. Congratulations to the 2011 winner, Heartland Farms.